What are your relationship stories? What are your relationship beliefs? What have you formed about relationship? Do you feel safe? Do you feel connected? Are you fearful of intimacy, rejection, abandonment? Are you fearful of being humiliated in relationship? How do you act, react? What do you give? How vulnerable are you? How open are you? What has formed your relationship beliefs and stories of how you need to be, of what you can accept, what you allow yourself to receive in relationship? Yes, we are going deep into this, and I'm going to share with you some of my relationship beliefs and my relationship stories and how they have affected me in my own life. And I'm going to begin with Dharma. Dharma is an interesting word, and there are many takes on Dharma, but I want to take the perspective of duty and responsibility. Now, that's an interesting term. Now, I unpack duty and responsibility. I think about the collective impressions and the imprints of society and culture, and how our family and how we grow up and the environments in which we grow up, they tell us what our responsibility is as a person. Then you've got these superficial, these aesthetic imprints of who we are. So our gender, our age, our skin color, our socioeconomic status, our belief systems, what in-groups we're part of. I find that interesting too. And so all of this and more, including our interpretation of ourselves and of our lives, the meaning that we give life and ourselves, that lends itself to what are our duties and responsibilities. And so Dharma can be seen as, what are your duties and responsibilities? Yes, it can be purpose and vision, but what is your responsibility in life? And specifically, I want to go deeper into our responsibilities and duties in relationship and in intimacy and sexuality and in romance. Because here's the thing, our beliefs that we form about relationship, about what it means to be in intimacy, to give and to receive, to share ourselves and to feel safe in relationship, is often formed from the experiences that we have as children, what we witness in our upbringing, right? Our developmental years forge our adult selves. And in that sense, we develop this idea of what our Dharma is, what our responsibilities are, what our duties are in the world, particularly in relationships. So for me, I form these beliefs and these ideas of being in relationship, that it wasn't really safe to be in relationship. I witnessed my parents being very aberrant and violent with each other, being married and being together and staying together. And I had this idea that being in a relationship isn't safe. Being in a relationship is ugly. It's all about violence. It's all about not feeling good. It's all about staying together, but you don't really care about each other and you don't love each other. Yet as an adult, I wanted to be in relationship. I wanted to be in intimacy, but I was so scared unconsciously. My nervous system was shocked. It didn't feel like it needed to and could be in relationship. So I would be in relationship, but I had this tremendous fear of commitment, this tremendous fear of my freedom being taken from me, and this tremendous fear of intimacy, showing my true self, because I witnessed my father and my mother wearing masks. You know, as kids, we're super astute. Like we recognize what's actually happening in our environment. We just can't put words to it all the time, right? We can't articulate it, but we know, we have a felt sense of what's going on. And so I would see what's going on and I wouldn't like it, but a true part of me wanted to share and be in intimacy. Now, there's a couple of reasons why. Because I think it's very natural for us to be seen and want to be heard and be understood and be appreciated and be revered by someone else intimately, right? That's part of our human nature. But also part of my healing was to be in relationship, to have a redo mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physiologically in my nervous system of what it actually means to be in relationship. And I would only be able to have that redo in relationship, to be able to redefine and say that, hey, being in relationship is actually safe. It's safe to be in relationship. And so what was my Dharma and responsibility and duty in relationship? Well, I can tell you for many years I wasn't living that Dharma. I was living a version of myself that was unhealthy. I was playing in to my traumas and my fears. So I would be in intimate relationship, yet I would be so scared of being close and being seen and being even accepted, the very things that I wanted. And so what would I do? I would run the other way. I would either run by being abusive emotionally abusive and being short-tempered and impatient, all the nasty things that you don't want to be when you're in relationship, right? The things that push your partner away: stonewalling, defensiveness, criticism, contempt, the four horsemen. I would be that person, or I would be cheating. I would be engaged in massive levels of infidelity because I had relief and reprieve. I literally felt this sense of annihilation when I was in relationship because I didn't feel free. And I witnessed my father being a particular way. And therefore I thought, that's how I need to be. I need to be that way. And that's how you are in relationship. That's the norm. And I justified it by, well, this is just what we do. This is what you do in relationship. This is how you show up in relationship. It's normal, but it wasn't normal. And it was unhealthy. And all I was doing was moving further away from my healing and deeper into my wounding, because I had these beliefs, these unconscious beliefs about what are relationships. And so why am I speaking to this today? Because my beloved and I are in the middle of teaching a relationship course, and yesterday we were talking about our unconscious beliefs, and I was just deeper reflecting on what some of my unconscious beliefs have been. And that has been some of them. And I started thinking about dharma and responsibility and duty and relationship. And I really found that as I've evolved and matured in my own sense of self, my duty in relationship is to be in integrity, is to be consistent, and is to be willing. That's for me, to be in integrity, to say what I do and do what I say, to be consistent in my actions and behavior, to not be sporadic and volatile and erratic like my father was. And by doing that, and my mother was like that, my parents were like that, my family home was volatile. And by doing that, I'm able to heal those parts of me, that little boy inside that has been so disconnected. And the consistency and the willingness to actually show up and not just argue and fight for the sake of arguing and fighting and being in conflict and in desperation and in hate of self and other. Because the self-love part, for me, the self-worth part has been a massive piece of my growth. I've had to learn how to care for myself, to see myself, to love myself, to appreciate who I truly am in the world, so that I can then receive and acknowledge and recognize when that love is given to me. Because if I'm unable to see that, if I'm unable to recognize that love that's coming to me, then I'm not going to be able to give it to myself or even accept it. And if I'm not accepting that love from my partner, I'm not engaged in deeper levels of vulnerability and openness. That means that my partner gets shut down. And all I'm doing is reliving the past. I'm just being who I was and what I witnessed. And so our relationship beliefs and stories of relationships being safe or unsafe, us being safe or unsafe in relationship, they contribute to how we show up and the quality of our relationship. So my invitation to you is to look at those beliefs, to look at those stories. What beliefs do I have around what romance is? What beliefs do I have around my own sexuality? Where did some of my beliefs come from? I just thinking about your past, your history, your family dynamic, what you experienced as an individual moving through the world, and just being more attentive to how is some of the behavior that I have today, where does that maybe come from? What am I holding on to? What am I scared of? What am I unwilling to look at within myself? Willingness is such a big thing for me. Like I said, integrity, consistency, and willingness for me, I really truly feel is part of my relationship dharma, my responsibility and duty in relationship to myself, for my own healing, but also for my partner. And you get to a place in relationship where you begin to mature beyond just you and I. It's beyond just yourself and beyond just that person. And you begin to move into the third level of relationship and relating, which is the third entity. And your relationship, what value is it adding to the world? How are you healing? How are you helping your partner heal? And how are you helping those around you, your community, really heal? I want to go back to this receiving piece as I just finish up now. If you struggle to receive and you struggle to love the parts of yourself that are in the shadow, that are dark, that have been shunned in the past, that have experienced trauma and pain and density, you will struggle to be able to acknowledge when it's coming for you and to you. Therefore, you won't be able to give that out. And you'll be stuck in this cycle of less than. It will be not a full relationship. It won't feel full and whole. It will feel empty. It will feel fractured and broken. And you're better than that. And you're more than that. And you deserve more than that. So what are your relationship stories? What are your relationship beliefs? And what is your duty and responsibility in relationship? What is your relationship dharma? Power and blessings to you. I'll see you soon.